Oh my God. You know. Rodney Franklin's song for you. Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I sound choked up, it's because I have been waiting in bated anticipation for this day today. What you hear playing in the background is a song that was introduced to me in my freshman year of college. And I have never forgotten it. And the reason why I've never forgotten it is because I believe that the song and the lyrics in itself define this person who is sitting here next to me today. You all need to strap in because this is the one that we've been waiting on. This is for You Too Near Me Not to Hear Me. I present to you today my Spelman sister, my homegirl, my love, my dog, Miss Kelly Veney Darnell. What's up, girl?
Dan, you brought tears to my eyes.
Do you remember when you introduced this to me?
You brought tears to my eyes. I was not ready for that. I wasn't ready.
There's no other song that I could do that because you were the person. You were the person. I never forget, and I still have the tape, even though I pulled this one up.
Yeah.
I was like, who is this dude? And why is she introducing me to this song? I was like, wow.
Wow. Thank you, Dan.
Hey man, I don't
it's hard to choke me up.
I know. I
thought you were gonna play some house or some go-go. No.
Let me tell you, what popped into my head was this song immediately. And then I thought about, okay, so what other song pops in your head when you think about Kelly? And it's Salt and Pepper Push It. Because I remember going to a party with you, Lower Manly, and I remember this song and everybody losing their mind. And I was just like, what in the world is this? Push it. I was like, okay, I guess this is what everybody wants to hear. But I was like, all right, I'm okay. I don't even know how to dance to hip hop. I'm a house cat. I'm like, I want to two-step and do my thing.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. You know, when I play Salt and Pepper for my kids, they're looking at me like, what is
that? Right. What is that?
Yeah, that's funny.
To help you understand this, I dig back deep into the crates. Let me take you back to
oh my God, I have that picture. Yes. Dan, stop it.
Freshman year.
Stop. Yes, that was freshman year.
Freshman year.
Yeah.
It made me go back to my own picture. This was me actually getting on the plane at Midway Airport.
Oh my gosh. Yep.
With my tennis, and that's my tennis bag that is on my arm. That's freshman year.
Oh my gosh. That's hilarious. Yes.
That's freshman year.
That's funny.
So
God had hair back then even. That was so long ago.
People don't understand the bond between Morehouse men and Spelman women. And they really kind of are trying to figure out why is it that this brotherhood and sisterhood between two schools is so strong that even after decades, there is just still this lock in like, okay, I got you, whatever's going on. Let's go back to the end of freshman week. I think it was either that Saturday or Sunday. We're at King Chapel. Young men are coming in from one side of the chapel. Young ladies, you all are coming in from the other side of the chapel, and you meet in the middle, and that's who it is. It wasn't picked for you, determined. And I know cats were like, ducking and dodging and trying. And I was just like, whoever it is, I'm cool.
That's funny.
And I will tell you from my perspective, and I want to hear from your perspective. I'll tell you from my perspective, I was taken aback. I was like, wow. First of all, she's beautiful. No doubt about that. But it's just like, it felt like it was a kismet connection.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, man, this is like a sis I didn't even know. It's just like it automatically clicked.
Yeah.
And for me, inside I was euphoric. I could hear other cats, oh man, I got a busted one, this, that. I was thinking to myself, I was like, y'all don't know. I got the dime. I got the one. She is truly, truly somebody who was from the beginning looking out for me, interested to know what I was thinking about. We made instant connection. And I was just like, it's like you were one of them. These are my actual sisters.
Yeah.
And that was freshman year.
Yeah.
So that's my sister Edith, my sister Carol in the middle, and my sister Kim.
I remember.
So you fit right into the mold, man. You fit right into the mold, man. So you tell me, man, what was going on through your mind?
We as Spelman Sister, Spelmanites were also praying like hell we did not get a busted Morehouse brother. It helps. We were so, it's hard to explain what that process is even like, right? I tried to explain it to my husband to say, it's just this random pairing and you literally meet this person. And it was just an amazing experience because we were just instantly like, this is right. And this is good. And I loved you from the moment that we met. And it just feels so natural that 30 years later, right? We're still, I still care about you and want to know that everything is okay. And even if we don't talk for a couple of years, I just have to know that everything is solid, right? I shared with you that my son went to Morehouse only for a semester, long enough to get a Spelman Sister. And he left. And he's just been kind of finding his way. And a couple of weeks ago, he went, but that one constant in his life has been his Spelman sister, who graduated in May. And so he was struggling through the pandemic and went to Charlotte. She said, come to Charlotte, come a place that where you can be safe and I got you. And he went down there for a couple of weeks and it was that same thing. It was like, just that connection, someone you feel safe with, that no matter what happens or where life takes you, you have that one person that has your back. Mm-hmm. And that's when I knew how real and special, even though, we know tons of people who stayed together, Spelman Morehouse bond, but to then watch my son have the same experience, I knew that it was just a special thing.
Yeah. I talked about in a few episodes ago and told my story and really talked about this transition that I had from high school into college. And you saw me in the years that I was there, the transition coming back while I was gone and then coming back. It's like you were there. You were that kind and when you instantly told me about your son going to see his Spelman sister, I immediately went back to that time. And so at first I have to apologize for not going all the way through. For a couple of years, I wasn't there for you. Because that's a responsibility you got to have. Like, I got to finish too. I got to be there right with you all throughout. So my apologies for not, but the maturation process and going through it. And the key thing is things that you told me during the time that I had left and when I came back were so vital to my story. So, I don't know if you remember this. So when I left quietly. Like, I was gone Christmas, and didn't really talk and call anybody. I just left. I was frustrated with just the whole thing. Was blaming everybody else. And I can only hear it from my perspective, but I know like during those first 2 years that I was there, I wasn't a student. I was just going through the motions. I wasn't studying, having money for books and just figuring out tuition and how things are going and how to really engage myself in the classroom. I was just lost. I was treating it like it was 13th grade. And so I don't know what that looked like from the outside, somebody looking in. But I know from the inside, it was chaos. It was searching for a companion, a girlfriend. It was searching for the next party. It was searching for really good friends to trust. It was all of this constant search. And then inside of all that, it's like, well, what am I going to do? Like, why? Answering the question of why am I here was the hardest thing for me at that time. Those first 2 years, 87 through 89. Mm-hmm. And throughout all of that, you just kind of remain constant. Not my mom, not nagging at me, anything like that. You would say little slick stuff that, would kind of get me back on track. Like, you need to go and, take care of that. You need to turn these papers in. You need somebody to help you type that paper. I'll get somebody for you. You did little things like that for me, but I never felt like I was being scolded, but I'm sure you could see what was going on. And then when I left in the winter of 89, so I was out of school the fall of 89. I was working at Atlanta Hilton and Towers as a bellman. I don't know if you remember that. The graveyard shift from 11 to 7. Mm-hmm. And I was staying at ITC with my guy, Patrick Barley, who's going to come up next after you for another show. And so I had money at that time. From September to December, I was caked up. I was averaging $150, $200 a day. So money didn't mean anything. I had a side drawer in my room full of money, just balled up or folded. And Patrick, hey man, you got some, man, dude, don't ask me. Just get it from the drawer, whatever it is. He could have took all of it, and it really wouldn't have made a difference because inside I was hurting so bad because everybody was in school and I wasn't. I remember trying to go to the football game with my old college ID from the previous semester, trying to get in, and like, oh no, you got to pay. And that was like, whoa. It was coming around and seeing people during parties and say, hey, so what's going on? Are you in school? What's going on? I'm having to explain what's happening. That really hurt. And yet again, you were still my constant, man, still remaining, the whole nine. And I don't even know you probably have to help me and remember if you remember any of that time of what was going on. But I know that was my lost period, like really lost.
I don't remember the details, but I remember a change. I remember you being there one day and not being there the next. I remember when you were at ITC though. And then it was like you were there, you were not there, and then you were back. And I don't think I appreciated the turmoil, as much turmoil that was happening, that you were going through.
Yeah.
I mean it makes me wonder why I didn't know. I knew some of the stuff was happening, but I didn't know all of it was.
Yeah, a lot of it for me is pride. False pride, just didn't want people to feel as though looking at me as if, something was wrong or, that kind of thing. It was really, really hard. I wasn't in the band at Morehouse anymore. That kind of, that took a little something away from me. I honestly just felt like I was just floating, just out there. Working was enough to, pay for my car and get through it. But it was a tough period. And speaking of the car,
Oh, I remember the car. I remember the car. There is the GTI. Oh, I remember the car.
So it.
But Dan, because so many, my son included, who went through the same kind of turmoil, right? Tell me, like, give advice to to another Black male who might be going through the same thing. Is it just time that they have to get through? Do they have to get to it themselves? Or is there anything that you can say to help them through the journey?
From my perspective, the thing is, when I left high school, I was the kind of student that was seeing my way through it.
Okay.
I got the C grade, and I tried to buck, shuffle, and jive, charm, talk my way out. And I didn't really understand. And now I haven't been an educator for 25 years plus. I didn't really take seriously the things that were placed in front of me. And that wasn't that in Chicago public schools, they weren't teaching that. Oh yeah, they were teaching it. And great teachers that I had, I wasn't focused on it. It wasn't important to me. What was important to me was having a girlfriend, playing tennis, playing in the band, being social, trying to get out of my awkwardness of being really tall and with big feet and a big old butt and just skinny and it's just weird, just the hormonal thing was just, and I have awesome friends surrounding me who went through and did what they needed to do, but there are some of us that didn't. But I that's how I started out. But when I got to school, again, not having that focus, I was trying to figure it out. So I am happy for campuses that now really hone in and bring in, mentors and guides to freshmen so that they have somebody to come to and go to and somebody who's really kind of on them. And not like on their shoulders, but just on them and just checking in on them. The brother sister thing is great. Is probably the best thing to have. But I just think that the minister Sterling Hudson, who is forever will be one of the greatest people in my life because he took a chance on me the second time around.
Okay.
And so building that relationship with him. And how did I build that relationship with him? We played tennis. I actually I'm not going to say I beat him, but I know we battled. And so we forged a relationship. And he saw something in me. But it's about forging relationships with those people who are in the campus. It's forging relationships with adults who not only have a listening in the ear, but also lay the buffet of opportunities in front of you. They're not telling you what to eat. They're just saying, hey, here you go. Here are these opportunities.
It had to come from somebody who wasn't your mother.
My mom she passed in 2016. My mom was great at just being extremely supportive and also letting me take the fall and the lumps for myself. I don't think she ever in her thought process, ever was like, well, he failed and what's wrong with me? It was never anything like that. She's like, he's going to learn. He's going to figure it out. I'm just going to keep quietly supporting him and kind of guide him and say, well, honey, she always would tell, baby, it'll be okay. You're going to make through this. And this too shall pass. It was just like that constant reassuring, that you need mentally. This was Christmas break, my freshman year coming back.
Hold on. I'm 51 now.
Hey, I'm 51 with you, girl.
Actually, I'm 51. I'll be 51 in 50. I'll be 51 in 2 weeks. I remember.
Yeah. So, that's that. I mean, and my dad not being in my life, that was tough, but he also said some things to me that were clear. He said the truth. He said, son, you're lazy. And that hurt. I was like, how you don't need to go to college. You need to go in the military. You need to, and he probably gave at the time the best advice and direct to me. And he was right. Maybe not about the military, because I'm not a really military guy, but who knows? I'll probably be, you know, hopefully alive today and with a pension. But
I know that's right.
you know, but you know, the thing about it was something that I had to go through and figure out. Like a testimony means in the first 4 letters, you have to have a test. And you got to go through something in order for you to come out on the other end. And not everybody's story is going to be the same. Some people get it within a matter of moments. Some people, it takes decades. And so there is no time limit on it. But the thing about it is, in that building process, you will eventually get to that point where you evolve and come out of it. So what I would tell your son and any young person is trust your instincts. Question your own motives. What are you listening to quietly that keeps repeating inside of your head? Every time you point the finger at somebody, it's 3 fingers pointing back at you and 1 and a thumb up to God. What are you accusing somebody of, and how are you taking responsibility and check for yourself? How do you accept the responsibility of it? Like accepting responsibility was the biggest thing. And to own up, even when you felt like it wasn't your fault, own up to it and say, yep, I take responsibility for that. I gotta handle it. And that is what strengthened me. So leaving in 89 and being at home in 91 and having to go to school full-time, work full-time, and non-COVID, and really breaking down what it meant to really study, to be competitive. I was competitive on the tennis court. I didn't understand competition in the class. I didn't understand the importance of the 4 letters that mean more than anything. Read. To read, and to read for not just that you can just read what's on the paper, but I would tell read for really thirsting and understanding it. Write notes all in the margins. Question what is being read to you. Immerse yourself into it. Create the mind movie. The reading is what really probably took off key to that. So imagine in those 2 years, I come back and now I'm the student that should have walked in the door my freshman year, but now I'm back. I went from a .63 GPA leaving out of Morehouse and getting kicked out by Leroy Keefe to coming back with over a 3.5 in 2 years.
We're doing a Zoom call. It's going to be me, you, my son, and his Spelman sister.
Right. We gotta do it. We gotta do it because it is what took me to that point. And this is where you mean so much to me because of what you said to me. I remember coming back, and it's 91, and I think we went to dinner somewhere, some Italian restaurant or something that you wanted to go to. And I was just like, all right. And so you expressed to me how happy you were to see me back. What is your plan, Dan? What do you intend to do? And I was, here's what I'm going. She said, okay, well, here's what I'm going to give you one thing. And this is you. And I've told this and repeated this story. That's why if your ears are ever burning, your palms are itching. This is old to you. He said, Dan, here's what I want you to do. For 4 hours every single day, I want you to hit those classes that you have every day. Even if you don't have a class that day, I want you to study in that class. I want you to read and go beyond. I want you to take those notes. I want you to work ahead. If you can do that every day, you'll get through this. And you told me the one thing that was most important, said, you got to disappear. You made it clear. You said, you have to disappear because you said, Dan, I want you to think about something. At about 4 o'clock, do you ever notice anybody at Spelman's campus? It almost seems like it's a ghost town, don't it? Yeah, there's maybe a couple young ladies walking to the library, something like that. But do you ever see us hanging out on the road, in the parking lot or anything? And I was thinking to myself, and we said, you sitting there talking to me, I was just like, dang, you know, you're right. She said, you said it. You know what y'all doing? Y'all playing ball. Y'all in the parking lot. You on J.P. Bawley in between Clark and Morehouse. Y'all walking down to the library. Y'all at Stiegel's. Y'all everywhere you ain't supposed to be, and you supposed to have your nose in a book. What you really said, you said to me, your ass should have been in a book. Put your ass in the book. And I was like, okay, that was the mama moment. And so when you locked that into me, you said, Dan, just do this from 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock every day. Make sure you take all your classes towards the morning. You said that. You helped me set my schedule up. Such a, try to not have any classes after 1 or 2 o'clock. You're not gonna focus when it gets around 3. She said, and you said this. She said, I know you. I know you want to be on Friday at 12 o'clock. You want to be on our campus hanging out. So you better put all your stuff ahead of time and don't have anything in that block. And that conversation stayed with me because it gave me the blueprint. And I literally put hours on my door for where I was staying. I was like, during this time, don't bother me between 4 and 8. Like I cut the ringer off. Like my relatives would call during that time, and I was like, listen, is it an emergency? No. Hey, I got to call y'all back later. And honestly, that took me like it was the Matrix. It was like you stuck a needle in my back of my head. Going, you're a student now. You're a super student now. And I was just like, damn, why did she tell me this freshman year? I'd have been, but like a good friend, like a sister, you let me be me. You didn't mama me. And I cannot forget that. And I tell this part of my story all of the time. I tell to just, hey, listen, from 4 to 8. I don't care what 4 hours you got. This is. Yeah. Do you remember? You told me. Said, matter of fact, go to the library and get in one of those graduate rooms. You got to get it from the librarian so she can schedule your room and close the door and turn your back so that you can't see the glass behind you, and you work. Matter of fact, get your little headphones and your Walkman, tune in, and do that every day. And there was a lady, I remember the librarian at the school, but every day I was coming, reserved. And then after a while, she's like, baby, I already got your room. I knew you was coming.
You know what's amazing about that, though? If you discipline yourself and you have a block of time, even when I was studying for the bar, right? And some days you might sit there and you might not do anything. Some days you might doodle. Some days you won't feel like doing anything, but eventually, right? It's just the discipline of sitting there. Eventually you will actually study and you'll get it out the way. It's just the discipline.
Like, where did you get that? Where did you, and why did you share that then with me?
I don't know where I got it. And I don't know why I didn't share it, because I didn't get serious myself until a little later. I mean, I'm a girl, right? So I'm gonna do the minimum amount of work not to be embarrassed. So,
but your minimum is like my maximum. Right. Like it's like, dang.
So I didn't get serious until I was, there was some stuff I liked more than others. I didn't really take my own advice until, quite frankly, I got into law school, until I went to grad school and law school, when I realized.
Did you know I didn't even know you went to law school?
I did. I graduated. So I went as a second career. I graduated in 2000. And I got married in law school and had my first kid in law school.
Wow.
And it was just about that discipline. Now I laugh because I'm like, I couldn't pass the bar if you gave me the answers, right? But then it was, because a lot of times you can skate. Like, how much can you skate and really not focus and not, right? So like that gets you through to a point.
Right.
And then you have to apply yourself. And I did. I used to just sit down, especially when I was in law school with the kid. Some days I just sit there because I did not feel like doing it. Until eventually I did. and I couldn't skate. And I couldn't skate on the bar. So I just had to do what I had to do. And, you know, it's something about that discipline in life too, right? It's not just about your studies. It's about the discipline of life, of just getting through stuff, knowing that eventually it'll be over, knowing that you will get to the other side of it. You know, walking into it. You can't get to the other side unless you walk into it and go through it. And it's, you know, it gets me through marathons. It gets me through, you know, stressful times at work. It gets me through just some stuff that, you know, as we talked about, just some challenges career-wise. It got me through a marriage. Just if you just keep going through it, you'll get to the other side.
I mean, the perseverance is, you know, one of the qualities, and the grit that these are the things that come back to mind.
Yeah.
And having to go through, finally getting through the years and graduating, finally getting into a career, just kind of being someplace and then having to go some other places, and just, you know, and then positions ending without you even knowing. And just like, oh, I didn't see that coming. And then, okay, let me get back together again. And even now in this social pandemic and this health pandemic, this is strange. But you're right. It is the ideal of, okay, we just got to go through it. You just got to go through it. It's a test right now, but it will be a testimony when you get through it.
Right.
And in the midst of the pain, oh, what a joy it will be to tell that story of saying how I got through and how I made it over, and the people that were key. That's why when I talk about you and my boy Steve Weatherall, because Steve was the one that really initiated for me to come back. He was the one that said to me, he said, I came down spring break of 91. I was still at U of I, and I was getting ready to run for student government president for the University of Illinois, Circle Campus. That would have never come out of my mouth before.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, man, come on down, come visit. And he said to me, he said, I partied the first night that I got there. I mean, we partied. I mean, we, you know, I'm talking about old granddad and coffee cup party. Got up the next day, and I was in such a routine that I showered up, got my clothes on, made the bed up, laid on top of the bed, and do what I always did on Saturdays, which was I went through, instead of doing 4 hours, I did 8 full hours. I treated it like work. So I went through it and that was my Saturday, Sunday routine. And my mom didn't like that because I wasn't going to church, but I was like, Mom, she said, well, okay, but I said, you get the grades, I'm gonna leave you alone. And so it was at that time that he saw me that morning, went to work, came back, and still saw me in that same position. He was like, dude, did you eat or I said, honestly, I did eat, but this is what I do. And that was the change he saw. Like the commitment, the push, like just do it regardless. You remember, I don't know if you remember Steve or not, but that's Steve. That's Steve Weatherall. He was at ITC. He was from LA. He's in one of the stories. And he said to me this key thing, Kelly, and this is what it means for a Morehouse brother to reach back out to me and say, hey man, we're sitting there, we went to 2 pesos.
Oh my God.
Dollar margaritas and tacos, sitting there at 2 pesos. And he said, Dan, I see this miraculous change in you, because he said, dude, this wasn't, I don't know who this dude is now, but this is not the dude that I saw in 87 through 89. He said, and it's not a bad thing, it's a great thing. He said, because there's still that part of you, he said, but the other part of you is phenomenal. And he asked me 2 questions. He said, what's that going to look like when you graduate from University of Illinois, Circle Campus in Chicago, and your mom and daddy still got Morehouse College stickers on their car, and they still talk about, whenever they talk about their son, they say, well, you know, he was at Morehouse, but he graduated from. He said, what's that going to look like when you graduate from U of I Circle Campus? Then he asked me the second question. He said, it wasn't even a question. He said, no, it was a question. He said, why don't you finish what you start? Talk about that. Like somebody took they hand and went cut right in my throat. Cut, it caught me. I was like, oh, why don't you finish what you start? He said, all this effort that you're putting in to do this at U of I and working at the firm and all this other stuff that you're doing, you could come back and be with your brothers. You could come back and sit in the classroom where you're not intimidated by being with around 300 white folks in a lecture hall where you got 300 brothers and sisters looking like you, and you can feel all of the comfort, but the challenge, because you can do it. He said, you've succeeded in their classroom. Come back home. Finish what you start.
I'm like, I got all these little nuggets from this conversation in my head.
That's why you and him, a couple other people, are so key to the story, because I could put together the little pieces and get myself back. And so this is the story that I have to tell to young people and the folks who are not asking questions, but I can see you going down the path that I've been down there. And I'm not trying to tell you to follow what I do, but I want you to hear the lessons that I learned. That's all. I'm offering this to you as a buffet.
Yeah.
And now I understand why kids and parents and teachers would always just gravitate toward me, because I was giving it to them genuine. I was being authentic. And the love that I have is real. I built the trust. I'm here every day. I'm consistent.
So
But
let me ask you this, Dan, because we were talking about politics and you are from Chicago.
Southside, stand up.
Yes, Southside. What is happening to your young brothers in Chicago?
So I will tell you the challenge of this is fivefold. The first thing about it is about opportunity. Mm-hmm. And to survive getting out of Chicago, let alone the west side of Chicago or the south side of Chicago, the odds are purely against you. There's enough trappings, like every major city, there's enough trappings to get you shot, killed, jailed, bunch of kids, homeless, on drugs, drinking, it's rampant. In order for you to find a path to just finding just the step of, let me become a responsible person and get my own apartment, house, job, car, and start existing, is the bare minimum. Even if you just get out of high school, the bare minimum is get a place to stay, get your own place to stay, car, get a job, and just survive. Hopefully something will happen. The aspect of it being for you to find an actual path to what life can be means that you got to be in the right place at the right time. And I think the lack of those resources, particularly in Chicago, it becomes the haves and the have-nots. So they got, these groups like Jack and Jill, the Lynx, and all. And I don't take anything away from them. But if you come from parents who are able to put you in those situations and go to cotillions, then you are in the right place at the right time, no matter if you want to be there or not. A lot of my brothers and sisters don't. I was the kid that was seen at all those places, but nobody knew. My parents were divorced. I was a single mother, raising 4 kids, 3 older sisters and the youngest boy. She worked. Yeah, I played tennis and I skied and I saw those same kids, but I wasn't in those groups. I wasn't going and kicking it at Miller Beach, in Lake Michigan across the, water. We didn't have the winter home somewhere up in Wisconsin. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. We got an apartment in Hyde Park, high rise, 34th floor. I remember Barack Obama when I was a kid. You know, I remember him being around in Hyde Park. I remember, you know, Harold Washington. He was across, you know, the park from where I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. And so my mom, with the few resources that she had to trust that the men that were in my life were going to do the right things, that my male teachers, my coaches, that's why I was in tennis. That's why I was in band. That's why we were with the Snow Gophers and skiing. And a lot of folks are going to say, well, dude, you know, you had a silver spoon. No, I didn't. I remember our lights getting cut off. I still don't like Kraft macaroni and cheese. I don't like salt and pepper wings out of the oven. I really am not a big fan of boiled hot dogs on the stove. I used to wear my sister's hand-me-downs. So, you know, how I'm geared up is important to me. And so, but being in the right place at the right time, I was fortunate. And so when you ask the question, well, what's going on now, is that I don't know where they can go. They're frustrated with a police system that attacks them because of the way that they are. And don't get me wrong. You know that you're wrong. Your pants sagging, you hanging out, you know you, but I'm just trying to sell these drugs just to survive. I get it. I understand. The $200 that you make today is going to help your mama put some food on the table and you to put some clothes on your back so you don't have to feel like, you know, something's wrong with you. You don't want to ever seem dirty. To be shiny is what we want to be in the hood. We want the North Face. We want the Air Force Ones. We want to be, and it's consumerism that eats us up. We don't have the good nutrition to get in our body. We eat gyros and grilled cheeseburgers and greasy chicken and all this other and fish and not getting the good stuff in our body. Salads are not the kick. So if your nutrition ain't right, the environment is pushed in on you, you don't see an opportunity. Yeah, you're in class, you go to school, but the person, and I may get in trouble for this, but you know what? I'm too old to hold back. The person you see in front of you in the classroom don't believe that you can really do what you're supposed to do. And they think that they're coming to your neighborhood to try and save you because they joined this, you know, campus crusade.
Right.
And been watching movies, and I'm gonna teach them poetry, and like you're gonna come save, but you don't live in that neighborhood. You still don't understand why Daquan is the way he is, why Letitia is the way she is, why Maria is the way she is, why Jose is the way she is, because you don't see it. You travel your butt back up north to the north side. Oh, it's such hard work, and they don't listen to me because you're not genuinely coming across to them. So the schools, some of the schools, are set up against you. And then you graduate, then what you got? What you gonna do? Work at the grocery store? You got the Army, the military. You got some low jobs, and let's be honest, you can't even get a McDonald's job nowadays. And so when all of those things are compounded on top of that, even if your boys are thugs and selling drugs and everything else, and you just happen to know them because y'all came up through school together, because I still got partners of mine like that. Just because I'm standing on the corner with them now because of association, I'm grouped in. So I'm now a part of this brutality. And because I have an intelligence, because I'm trying a little bit to understand something, I spark back off and say, you know, you don't have the right to do that. And all of a sudden, boom, 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 I'm getting beat down, or I don't want to be around this. I'm running and I get shot 16 times and get a weapon planted on me. So then what have I got to do? And please don't tell me about the church. I thank God for being my parents, bringing me up in the church and having an understanding. Blessings to Bishop Arthur M. Brazier, who was my bishop, and his son, Byron Brazier, Apostolic Church of God. because there's two words that were key things that came out of my mind. I don't know the Bible through in and out. I got family. That's how we are, Pentecostal PAW. But I know two things: His grace and His mercy. That's what saved me. Those are the guardrails of life. And our young people don't have that either. So Chicago is on fire. Because kids are not stupid. They can see what's going on and they know they're being marginalized. And yet you tell me to reach for the brass ring and break through the ceiling and you can do it. To do what? How many people do they know that got college degrees and still broke? What we don't teach or what we don't have available is classes on perseverance and the grit and the other things and how to, once you get past the what you know, it's the who you know that makes the difference. And then when somebody calls your name, you better know what you know. Now you got to step up. Now you got to take ownership. So you can't have all of this and say, this is the reason why I'm going to fall down. No, it's a condition that's around me, but I can move through this. I just got to find the opportunity. That's why I say when there are key adults in your life that offer opportunities like a buffet, that makes the difference. So why did I go into teaching? I was going to Valparaiso Law School. When I graduated, Sterling Hudson is the person who convinced me to go ahead and teach, get in this internship for 2 years. So that's what got me all the way out in California, Northern Cal, at the Athenian School. That's what got me back home at Lake Forest Academy. And Kamani Thompson, my brother, rest in peace. I love that brother so much, and his mama. Her sending me an article from the Constitution talking about the need for more Black male teachers in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. That's what convinced me to come there. But somebody had to offer me the opportunity. Where are these kids getting that connection to it? Because the offered opportunities aren't always this. It is, listen, if you sell these bag of rocks, you get this weed, whatever you got to do, then you can put some money in your pocket and you can eat and you can try and take care of yourself and you can have this flashy car. And when in the same aspect, I'm at the same point, but now I don't have the police chasing after me. I don't have a record. I don't have anybody pointing a gun and looking for me to kill me. And I got houses. I've had cars. I've had wealth beyond understanding. I got all of that. But they don't see the work ethic it takes. It's the quick. It's the fast. Yeah. You know why they looting in Chicago and why these looting in these other cities? It's called a quick come up. Come on now. You remember Rodney King? You remember what happened on our campus? Bammers was going down there to Macy's and Bloomingdale's and Rich's and busting holes and coming out with Tommy Hilfiger and Ralph Lauren. Mm-hmm. For what? To protest Rodney King? Come on, please. That's the come up. Some people just ain't about what it really is about. Some people are just about themselves. Like, I'm about to take care of this opportunity. And I got nothing wrong with that. That's your hustle. Don't call that a reason why this is a reason for people lashing out and this Black Lives Matter. That's not the reason. That's the reason because somebody's taking advantage of an opportunity. And now you lumped us all into that. That's not it. I said a lot. I'm sorry. I apologize. Yeah. It's been on my mind, Kelly, because the way the media reports things, over 200,000 people are in Sturgis at a motorcycle, and they ain't masked up at all. And they ain't hugging and licking and kissing all over and drinking each other's beers and smoking cigars and riding on each other's bikes and touching each other. And yet a couple of thousand young folks decide that they're going to go to the Magnificent Mile and bust some windows and take some stuff. Mm. The impact of this is simply this. There's going to be a health pandemic issue because of these couple of thousand kids doing what they were doing. But the bigger impact is 200,000 plus folks was at Sturgis, and all of this pandemic is going to spread and it's going to spike again. Bigger than what's happening here. Because they on motorcycles, they rolling around. Yes. And that's not to say that I'm against the people doing that thing, but come on, y'all. Y'all could have masked up. Matter of fact, y'all could have done it virtual. Y'all could have, in stages, put it so. But, I just want my freedom. Just let me live. All these people talking about they don't want to wear their mask up in the store. Yeah. So
No, Americans are so intellectually lazy, right? They just look at what's happening in Chicago and they don't know anything about history. And so the first thing they want to do is, why are Black people criminals? Well, it's easier to disparage the person than to disparage the policy. Why are Black folks in that position? You know, and then of course you hear, well, immigrants come to the US, you know how they do. Immigrants come and they do so much better than Black people. And we, you know, why is that? It's like, because there's actually a whole body of work called the Migrant Advantage. This is studied. When you have the best and brightest and people who will risk anything, their lives, their families, to make it to the US, you just have an extraordinary person. So the expectation, of course, is that they are going to be successful. They're more successful than anybody at home too, right? From the place that they came. So you can't even, you know, I showed for the staff, we did a virtual movie, and we watched King in the Wilderness, and about the last 3 years of King's life. And you know, a big part of it takes place in Chicago, which is amazing, because when you go through just the history of Chicago, you can't start with Chicago in 2020. You have to look at Chicago from the Great Migration and get to 2020 to really understand everything that's been happening through the decades. And then you get here. Those things just don't disappear and you get to 2020. And you know, it's just been really fascinating. And just the whole Black Lives Matter movement and the lumping in of the looters and the, you know, Black Lives Matter and all of it, just to get our eye off the prize, just to get us confused and start focusing over here. Like, see, that Black lives don't matter to them, so why should it matter to us? You know, all of that is what I have been, probably for the first time in my life, really had sleepless nights thinking about Black people, you know, thinking about Black people who came here as slaves. What is our legacy? So you'll get me on a roll.
no, I just, you know, a partner of mine, and I mentioned this on a couple other shows ago, said, well, Dan, what if somebody comes to you and says, well, you know, what do you want? Because that's always the question. Well, what do you want? And at first I was answering back to say, you know, I want equality. I want equal rights. I want to be able to vote. I want to be able to, and I was just like, you know what? I don't even want to say that. I want $1 million for every Black person. We are 13% of the population, which is a little bit more than 40 million of us. That's $40 trillion. We got that in the bank. I want $1 million for every single Black person that is alive today. On top of that, I want you to clearly wipe out all of their debt that's consumer, all of the loans, all of the taxes, you know, wipe it out. And I said, now we can take on an equal stance. And an equal stance of 13% of your population can now stand on their feet and really actually pull themselves into a position where it makes sense. Because here's the thing, Kelly, and people are like, well, wait a minute, Dan, there's a whole lot of intricacies to this. I said, it's not really. 40 acres of a mule means that they owe us over $400 trillion. I just asked for 40 trillion. We spend that on a sneeze for government contracts. You can afford this. 2, you can't turn around and hand them $1 million check and tax it on them. Nope, can't tax it. Give them $1 million straight. 3, you can't all of a sudden decide to raise economic prices and things, so all of a sudden bread and milk cost $15. I said, because you will destroy your own constituency. You have to keep the prices exactly the way it is. Now, With that in place, here's what we walk away from. We walk away from the NBA, NFL draft of getting a $22 million contract and saying, well, what's the first thing you're going to do? Well, I'm going to buy a house for my mom. I'm going to take care of my family. Well, guess what? If everybody right at this point has $1 million and all consumer debt, taxes, everything is wiped clean, you don't have to worry about your sister because your sister got $1 million. Your mom and daddy got $1 million each. Your children got $1 million. I ain't got to call Kelly. Kelly, I got $1 million, girl. I got my check. You ain't got yours because you got yours too. Oprah got $1 million. Michael Jordan every single person alive gets their $1 million. Everybody. And now you don't have to worry about putting money away for your children. You ain't even got your house is paid for, your car is paid for, you have no debt, you have nothing. And now you sit on an equal playing ground. Now, don't get me wrong, the Dave Chappelle issue is going to happen. It's going to be that Bama rolling around with a box truck full of cigarettes talking about, I'm rich, right? It's exactly what's going to happen. And I get that. I understand that's going to happen. But here's what I do know. People like you and me and other folks are going to sit here and go, okay, we need to figure this out. We need to put ourselves together and gain financial literacy and understand what we're doing. And let's put these dollars to power to work. Because those high school kids now have $1 million and they're going to need to know what to do with that. And it may be that the institutions that are where we're asking them to go to, maybe they need them to all go to our Black institutions. And maybe our Black institutions will start to really step up. We won't have to worry about Morris Brown getting back in and trying to get funding for them. They'll be already ready to go.
I worry though. I mean, don't know how I feel about
is that crazy? Yes.
Yes. But so fundamentally, I believe in reparations, right? I always get stuck on just operationally. But I've been checking out this brother that has been his name is Derek Hamilton out of Ohio State. He's an economist. And he talks about baby bonds, right? And so he also believes in reparations, but he talks about this whole concept of baby bonds.
You said Derek Hamilton.
Derek Hamilton. And when you are born, every kid, depending on their income level, gets a baby bond. Baby bond might be worth $50,000 when the kid turns 18. And they can use it for certain things. They can use it to buy a house. They can use it to go to school. They can use it to start a business, right? And so, because the whole idea is you look at Black home ownership. What's the difference between a renter and a homeowner? The down payment, right? So if you start looking at why do kids this idea, and when I was, I used to be the chief operating officer for the state superintendent of education in DC. And
you always surprise me, man. You know.
You're so funny.
My girl running things.
And the superintendent was this white woman who had come out of the Bush administration who she was not comfortable with Black people. She didn't know anything about Black people, right? And I remember she was taking a scholarship there was a scholarship that supported students of color going to college who, even though they might have gotten scholarships, full rides, college was mostly covered, this program covered stuff like, how's the kid gonna get there? Because nobody thinks about that part, right? Where their books gonna come from? What happens at Thanksgiving and Christmas? What happens if an emergency comes up? What happens if they're still worried about their mother back home and something happens and they're not there to help them get through it? These are the barriers. It's not just paying for school. And I'll never forget the superintendent was like, well, we need to close this program. We don't need it because the kid gets full rides, right? So these are our policymakers not understanding the way the real world works. So if you have these baby bonds, you have some way where these things that become barriers to our success comes into play. And it seems like a crazy idea, and people are like, what is it? But right now, I'm all about, let's talk about some of these crazy ideas, some of these things that can happen that will have a huge impact on kids having opportunity.
Legacy.
Legacy. And you know what? Everybody gets it. You know, it's not just Black people who will get it, poor white people will get it. But it sure will help Black people a ton. You know, so I am really stretching myself.
Want the looting to stop? Drop a mill on every one of them. Now, don't get me wrong. It's going to be a bunch of Bamas rolling out in Gucci and Prada and the whole nine, you know, and styling and profiling. But it could be a bunch of folks that say, you know what, maybe I need to go. I don't know if it's about to go back to Africa, but you know what, I'm gonna go to Jamaica. I'm gonna be in Bimini. I'm going back to Fiji. I'm gonna go get me a spot up in Canada.
Yeah.
You know, I just it. If you want things to change and stop, and you got to be honest about it. And what it is, $40 trillion is a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, but you're talking about a political system that is willing to give billionaires a tax cut 3 years ago, but will not extend unemployment benefits to people at $600 a week because they're afraid that that's a disincentive, right, to them going back to a job that doesn't now exist. So happy to spend money on a tax cut, not happy because they're so afraid somebody who maybe is working class might get something free from the government, but nobody complained when billionaires got a tax cut. Nobody complains when corporations are subsidized by our tax system. Nobody talks about corporate welfare. That's fine. But you can't give somebody $600 a week extra to help them get through a pandemic.
How much do you think that the corporations are benefiting as a dollar amount from the government?
Oh my God!
It's a lot more than 40 trillion.
But that's the thing, though. When you start talking about individuals, it's as if the political system doesn't care anything about you.
Yeah, you in DC, girl. I hear that. I hear that ambulance in the background.
I am, but you know, they support corporations and they support wealthy. Poor people, forget about it. No matter who they are. Let's be clear. No matter who you are.
I know I'm crazy. I know I'm crazy.
I don't think it's crazy, but I think we got to put every idea on the table, and we got to start talking about these issues. And we can't get distracted.
I don't want to come back to the same playbook. The reason why I am letting young people talk, and I'm now taking this position to sit back and just listening, because I'm tired of talking. I'm tired of championing this when I can see the same old thing coming down the pipeline.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it up to your man Joe Biden for making probably the best choice he's made this year, and getting my girl Kamala Harris in there as a VP. Congratulations, and to all the Black women out there who can see this young lady as, you know, a first, but to see her as something like, hey, girl, go ahead, sister. I am truly excited about it.
Yeah, I laugh though. Hey, look, being Spelman Morehouse, the first thing I thought about is for the next 8 years, we're gonna have to hear Howard, HU, you know.
Oh my God. We're the real HU.
Right, that's what we're going. 8 years, HU, you know.
and ski weedy wee. AKAs.
That I thought about.
Oh no. My God.
Howard
about to come up.
Howard is about to come up. I
Hey,
wish she was a Spelmanite, but I don't want to take anything from her.
hey, I went to grad school at Howard for my curriculum and teaching master's hours. Yes, sir. I got my HU, but I rode around that campus with my Morehouse sticker and rocked my shirt. I was like, y'all know where I'm from. Y'all know what's up. Yeah, yeah, and that's funny because I pulled this back up. So freshman year going to the Morehouse Howard game in
Oh.
DC. In DC, playing in the band.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
You know
That was.
what?
Do you remember these girls? The twins at Spelman?
Oh my God, of course. God,
What?
Danielle, what were their names?
I can't remember. I was
Yeah,
just so happy to get my picture with them, with my Morehouse American Express shirt on.
yeah, they were cute.
What was the t-shirt company that was there? They was making all those sweatshirts and t-shirts with all the Morehouse and Spelman stuff on it.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
don't let me go get my. I have a Freaknik '88 shirt.
No,
I
you
still have
don't.
my Freaknik '80.
That's
You
our.
know what?
That
And
was
this is
White.
so
That was
innocent.
White Park. That was White Park.
It was in White Park. You know how innocent we were? There's a California raisin on it.
Oh.
That's how innocent we were. Yeah.
Can I take you back? That's me in New York City on the train station, freshman year.
Oh my gosh.
And now I'm really about to mess you up.
Oh Lord, I'm afraid.
You sent this to me.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
And that was your home girl.
That was Deneen.
And it says, I hope you enjoy what you see because I might be around for a while.
Oh, there you go. Oh, see, turn that around. Oh my God, stop.
That's that Morehouse Spelman Sister thing, man.
Hilarious. I can't believe you have those pictures. That's ridiculous.
I'm gonna cover this up.
Lord. I remember that picture.
Now, look at the date.
I can't see it. What's it say? 93?
93.
Wow.
November of 93.
Is that when I brought my girl down?
Yes, she did.
She still talks about that.
Now, it just dawned on me. So I came to see you in February of 94. This is the end of my senior year. I'm graduating in 94. My graduation picture looking busted. Came to see you in February of 94. Do you remember what happened? It was the biggest snowstorm ever in DC and Maryland and Virginia. Me and my boy Meredith flew in town from on TWA because he got a buddy pass and we got free flights to come up there. My boy Meredith. And I came to visit you. You were staying, man, you always found the most bangingest places to stay in DC. You had this brownstone that when you walked in,
it was a spiral staircase.
Right, and the hole was cut down.
Right.
You know, so the basement level was actually the living room.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
And then go up the stairs, and I was just like, this place is, oh my God. I was like, and I told myself, man, I gotta move to DC. I gotta come up here. We went to, what's the big mall in Virginia?
Tyson's Corner.
Went to Tyson's Corner. And I have been talking about getting my ear pierced. Do you remember that? Girl, you took me to Claire's and like, come on, don't be no.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
My boy Meredith had 2 in his ear.
That's hilarious.
You were with me to get my ear pierced. And the first thing I thought of was my mother and dad are going to kill me. They're going to kill me. Like I'm in a world like Daniel and Avancia are about to light me up. But what can you do now? It's over. It's done.
I'm laughing because again, like the innocence, right? Just the innocence of caring that your parents are going to freak out.
Daniel and Vancia. They were not. Yeah. I was about to. That's when they came to homecoming. That's my father and my mom, and that's my sister Edith, and we're standing in front of the King statue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's hilarious.
Yeah, man. About to
I don't
light.
remember. Is your ear still pierced?
It is still pierced. I stopped wearing an earring,
Uh-oh.
and I stopped wearing watches in. When did I get to Chicago? I moved from LA to Chicago in 2010. And I stopped wearing an earring because the principal that I had was like, we're west side of Chicago, you shouldn't be wearing an earring. It's a bad influence. I was just like, I've been rocking an earring since I graduated from college. I've been in all kinds of campuses and stuff. Like, what's up with that? And so I didn't want to hear her mouth. I can't even say her name. I don't even remember her. But I stopped wearing it. Now it's probably still there, but I don't know what reason I had. I thought I was handsome, walking around with an earring in my ear, but that was you. That was you.
So I convinced my my husband is an Air Force vet, right? He retired from the Air Force, and I was like, I want you to get your ear pierced, and he was like, that is ridiculous. No one. And sure enough, he got both of his ears pierced. So now he's got one he didn't like. So now he's got one, and his kids were like, we cannot believe that you got your ear pierced. I just can't convince him to get a tattoo.
America, you hear it. She's the one that had me get my ear pierced.
I can't believe your wife hasn't convinced you to do it again.
No, man. Siobhan likes to travel. So she gets me out of my comfort zone of just being comfortable. So I will tell you, after I got married in 2000, I have probably been to more countries and had more and definitely have had more blessings in my life since I got married. And it'll be 20 years in December.
Wow. And you know what? You have been she has brought so much to your life. You've had so much joy. When you talk about her, there's just so much joy, right? In your voice. It's incredible. I can't remember how you have to tell me how you met her, because it is the sweetest thing ever.
So I was in DC. I was living in DC from 96 to 2005, which begs the question, were you in DC during that time too?
I was in Atlanta. And then when I got back, I was in law school.
Because I was about to say, she better have been in DC all that time.
Yeah, but I was in Atlanta first, and then I moved back to go to law school. But I told you, I got married and had a kid, and it was like all of that was happening.
So my best friend, Alan Brazil, is married to her best friend, Adrian Allen.
Okay.
So at his graduation, December 16th, 1990, he asked me to come down for his graduation. Now, remember, this is at the time when I was now back in Chicago, from 89 to 91. So this is December 16, 1990. I drive down in my mama's car, slick sports car. It was cold, icy roads, and I'm rolling. I get there, and he had been telling me about her. Hey, you got to meet my wife's girlfriend, Siobhan. She's cool, dog. And then he laughed and say with me, but brother, Misery loves company, so I need you to hook up with her. So we can keep our foursome together. And I laugh because when I got there, I find them, and the ceremony started, so I'm a little bit late. I find my seat, and I see his mom, and I see Siobhan. And so as I'm coming through, I'm going to sit next to his mom and not sit in between them. So when I go to sit down, his mother pushes my booty over. She slides over and pushes me into her, and I bang in there. I was just like, hi, I'm Dan. How are you? You know, just embarrassed, but you know, and that's how we met. Now we didn't see each other after that initial day. Remember having lunch, helping him move and packing stuff up that day. And we talked for a little bit, exchanged. But I don't think I saw her again until I came home. No, I wasn't even home. I was already home, but somehow we ended up, you know, deciding to go out on a date. And our thing was, we like going to the movies. Hey, you want to go to the movies? Yeah, sure. Let's go to the movies. And all right, cool. And I remember her driving this little gold Nissan Stanza with the pull-out radio. I clown about that because, you know, that was oh, she was rolling. She was corporate America, looking good, all this kind of stuff. I was just like, Dad, and here I am still in school. That was oh man, I am way out of balance. Like, how can I even compete? How do I stand at the table and say, okay, because I'm looking to pay Dutch. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm working, but I'm not working it like she's working it. I'm a law clerk at a law firm. I'm the lowest man on the totem pole. I get the coffee and deliver papers.
Right.
And stay at the law library copying entire books that you ain't gonna never use. But you made me copy this entire book for 6 hours straight. Like and gave me a bag of quarters. They treat law clerks so bad. Shout out to Cantor and Madison, 25 East Washington. That was my love. So eventually, you know, we kind of, you know, just kind of dated off and on. I got back to school. She came down to visit a couple of times. Then I lived in California. Then we started to see each other over the summer when I got to Lake Forest. And then at the beginning of school, she just up and rolled out. And I never heard from her again. So I went through the entire year like, Dad, what happened? Well, she met some dude up in Montreal and, you know, they started hanging out. I have now moved on to DC. I'm doing my thing. And my boy hits me up, I think it was 97, like just before Thanksgiving. He was like, dude, hey man, we about to lose homegirl to some dude in Montreal. Like, you need to come on back and tighten this up for real. Like, what you doing? Yeah. And so I was like, well, nothing was going on in my life at the time. I wasn't really dating anybody serious. And I was like, all right. So I remember driving back in my little Volkswagen Cabriolet in the wintertime. Came back for Thanksgiving and we ended up driving around, went to the movies, something like that. And then we drove around and we stopped in at a hotel to have drinks. And I just remember having the conversation. The conversation was, we got to figure this out. Do I need to come back to Chicago? Do you need to come to DC, Maryland? You know, are we just really good friends? Are we intimate friends? What are we? And the reason why I say that intimate friends, you can't see the inscription, but it's inscribed on my ring. Intimate friends. Oh, wow. Eddie Kendricks. That's our song. And so we got to just figure this out. And so she said, okay. And then she made the decision to come and visit DC. I think I give the greatest tours of DC. I was living with Kamani, 9th and S Northwest in a brownstone, you know, in an English basement apartment, not kicking it like you were kicking it.
I remember. Oh my God, I remember that.
And
like coming back, yes.
Yeah. And so I started out from 16th Street, Maryland, going into Walk Creek Park, and I took that way and I got the top down, I got the music playing, and you know, and I'm driving towards DC, but as you're going through, the sun is starting to slightly set because I'm trying to time it perfectly. So by the time you come out of Rock Creek Park and you hit Watergate, the Kennedy Center, the sun is now just starting to set over the Virginia side, and I'm pointing out, you know, the cemetery over there. It come back to my mind.
Right on Rock Creek Park.
You know where the monuments are, the military,
Arlington Center.
Arlington Cemetery, and then this is the back of the Lincoln Monument, and then we drive into the park, and I'm like, this is the FDR Memorial, and we drive a little bit further, and these the golf course, and this is the tennis court. Now we're going down that long part, and I get to the point where the Statue of the Awakening is coming out the ground. Yeah. I was like, here's the Awakening, and turn back down. Check out the Mint. Here's the Holocaust Museum. I said, which is right next to the Mint. Okay, let me just leave that alone. And then we you know, and then hit the Smithsonian, and now we're in the mall. And so I got it timed perfectly. So now we hit all the museums. We're coming back down. Here's the Capitol building. I said, take a look back. You can see the Washington Monument and see the Lincoln Memorial, and the sun is now set behind it, and it's glowing. So then I come back down. I end up parking, and then I show the Vietnam Memorial and the Korean Memorial. We go to the Washington Monument, and we end up at the steps of the Lincoln Monument, and we sit and look back. And now the sun is clearly shining on the Washington Monument and the Capitol. And then as it starts to set a little bit more, then we walk over to the Jefferson Memorial, and we sit on the steps across the tidal basin. And then I said, and that's the White House. So by the time that sun comes down and it finally settles in and the lights start to kick on, man, DC is a beautiful place. And we talk about it to this day that we would, okay, Kelly, I'm putting it out there. We would move back to DC. I love Arizona. I love the fact that I don't shovel snow and ice. And we're in our winter time now because it's 115 degrees outside. But I'm in an air-conditioned home. I drive an air-conditioned car. I go from place to place in air conditioning. I don't go outside until it's wee hours of the morning or way late at night to walk the dog. I can play golf year round. But what I don't have is the culture.
Yeah.
DC, Maryland, Virginia has a culture. To get to New York within a matter of moments, Philly, you know, all around in that area. There's something about being back east.
But DC has a, I mean, I've known people who have like a place here and a place on the West Coast because there's something about DC and Black people, right? There's like a, Black people here are, what is the word I'm looking for? They're just not afraid, right? Oh. There is I remember I moved to Charlotte and I was working at Bank of America, and people were like, oh, you're like too much. You got to calm down a little bit. And I was like, what? Because in DC, they're just it's such a Black culture here. People are, I can't think of the word, but they're just not afraid. They don't ever shrink into or try to be less than or try, you can just be who you are here. And I love that about the district. People are empowered here. That's what it is. People are just empowered here. And in other places of the country, Black people just aren't this empowered. And so much so that when you go other places, you're like, you're kind of looking at like, just people just act different. And so I love it. I always come back to DC. I try to leave, but I love it here.
When we left DC in 2005 and we moved to LA,
yep.
and stayed there for a few years, I just found it was La La Land. It was perfect. Every day at 75 degrees, and because we lived in Marina Del Rey and we were Mount Ocean, and we moved eventually to Inglewood and got a house and things like that. But it was just, I started to see clearly, and I don't say this negatively at all, but there's a group of negative people who are just fake.
Mm-hmm.
And I got tired of just running into, hey, why don't you come to my yacht? You don't own no yacht. The dude you work for you don't have to impress me with stuff.
Right. Right.
I'm looking for the substance of who you are. I could care less about what you own. You want to sit down with me and smoke a cigar and drink a little something? Cool, let's do that. If you want to just play some tennis, and I don't need to go to this country club with you. Go to the park, right up the street.
Right.
I'm not impressed by those things. And so I love LA, and we talked about we would move back to LA because of the weather. But we would have to get away because the people are going to drive me bananas. Love Chicago because it's home, but Chicago got small for the both of us. Like, we've been there, done that. And I felt myself for 6 years, we stayed in the western suburbs. And so I'm in Elmhurst, I'm Villa Park, and we weren't feeling the kind of threats that were coming down with people where I was working on the west side of Chicago, on the south side, where they got to think about what's going to happen every day. And I'm living in Elmhurst. Just listen to the name, Elmhurst. The cops knew who I was because we were only a few black families that lived in Elmhurst. I'm driving a red convertible Vet. I'm just like, you know who I am. So, that's big fella walking his dog with his wife. You know, he's a principal at the school. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But it felt small. And then we made the move to come back here to Arizona because we needed to just get the weather right for her. She had just come out of a heart transplant. Just recently had a kidney transplant in February. But my wife she's a Ferrari. She is a Ferrari. This chick is she keeps going. She's a masterpiece at just got it. Perseverance, boom, done it. And so we get into these conversations about, well, where do you want to move? Where you want to go somewhere else? Because we're unafraid to just leave and go. We take in the opportunities we go, or we find an opportunity to go. And I said, I would like to go back to DC. I would like to go back to DC because I think that we were in a metropolitan city that had opportunities that were abundant. No matter about the person who's sitting in the White House.
No.
Just abundance of opportunities. And to be a black man in the profession that I'm in,
yep.
I'm like the rare unicorn walking around like, hey, get that dude. And so one of my guys who's been on the show, James Shepard, he still lives in DC from Ohio. It's like, dude, I'm never leaving. He said, dude, I will come out there to Arizona with you. He said, but eventually we're going to have to come back here to DC. It's something about that, and just the fact that I can go see a real show, a real concert. Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
You know, going to Capitol Jazz Fest.
Yeah.
I remember.
Canceled this year.
Right. But, you know, those kinds of things. So, yeah, man, I got, and so that weaves our story because I convinced her to move Chicago to DC, and we got married in 2000. We bought a house in, we were living in Maryland, and we ended up buying a house in Baltimore County, and it was our first home, and it was just great. I wasn't that far from where you grew up in Ellicott City.
Nope.
So, you know,
Great metropolis of Ellicott City.
Yeah, but again, I understand why. Now, and then having to drive around and been in that area, I was like, now I kind of understand Kells. I got Kelly now. I got it. I understand it. So, you know, it just that's always been the connection for us. And we got a chance to see each other from a long period of time when we came back to DC to visit and saw you. I can't find. I have that picture on my phone, but it's me and you standing in my girl Charlotte. Yeah, like this big old dude, man. So
right, we definitely have it. No, DC has so much. it's hard to leave DC because there's so much opportunity here. And I think I think a lot about now, just where I want to be as I get older. And you want to be someplace where your family and friends can wrap their arms around you and not be caught up in who you are, how much you have, people being on the come up. I'm a part of this, I'm a part of that. Because at this point in our age, at this point in our lives, we've all had challenges, right?
Come on now.
We've all been up and we've all been down. And so you just want to be with people who are going to be with you on the ride on both ends.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about DC.
Well, honestly, that's what I'm enjoying about where we are here in Arizona. So, I started a cigar group with a group of guys called Tap That Ash. Got the,
oh my God, that's hilarious.
And so it's 6 of us from Chicago, a couple of brothers from Ohio, brother from New York, one from Detroit, one from Quad Cities, Illinois. And what we found is like we're all Black, and have come up from situations where we have arrived here. We all play golf. We all like a little libation. 5 of us really smoke cigars, 1 doesn't. Mm-hmm. But the thing about it is that we have created this little bubble of what it feels like to be back in major cities. And so what happens is, how we started was that, when 2015, when I moved here, we would just get together and just say, hey man, where are you going tonight? Oh, well, we're going to such and such place. We're going to sit on the deck and have a cigar. Okay. And then we send text messages out, and then people show up that are the 6 of us. And then we would always bring somebody else with us. Well, 6 turned into 12, 12 turned into 24, 24 turned into 50. Next thing you know, we're deciding like, okay, we got to throw some parties because we're now bringing people out. And so they want to come to a Tap That Ash party. We threw one at a barbecue space that opened up in Chandler called West Alley Pig. And there's a cigar spot upstairs. 600 people in Phoenix showed up.
No way.
It was so crowded with us.
No
if they dropped a bomb on that, a lot of the Black population in Phoenix would be gone. I'm just saying.
No way.
We recreated the Republic
Garden.
I didn't
think there were 600 people in Phoenix.
They come out the woodwork, and that's the thing. Because everything is so spread out here,
yeah.
Either we're going to show up in Central Phoenix or we're going to show up in Scottsdale.
Are there any Black people in Scottsdale?
Yes. It's a rack of them.
Really?
A bunch of them.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. It's just like being, in Mitchellville or PG County in certain areas.
Right.
I got a partner of mine that lives in Paradise Valley, and that's the upper of Scottsdale. Right. Like his neighbor is Dan Quayle. And this is the west side of Chicago. I'm just saying. So we got them out here. It's just that we're so spread out, and what has brought them together is our group. And not because of just cigars or libation or anything like that, but we are just, and here's our tagline that was created by me. We are a group of individuals that share genuine, authentic energy.
Okay.
Simple and plain. If you come and hang out with us on a smoke night, and we hold them every other Thursday, come in, nobody's going to ask you, what do you do? How much do you make? Where you live, drive your car. Nobody cares. Nobody's going to introduce themselves by title and all this other stuff. There are doctors who are just going to talk to you and just say, my name is Rasan. My name is Ed.
Right.
And that's it. Nobody's going to hand you a bunch of business cards and try and sell you. And we don't want you to do that either. Here's what we're going to ask you. How are you doing? Don't tell me about your job. Don't tell me about troubles with family. How are you, the person, doing? How are you doing? We genuinely want to know about you. And we're going to listen. And we're not going to offer, we're going to listen and let the conversation organically grow, because we're invested into you. You've come and spent time with us. We're spending time with you. And we're going to share the same thing.
I'm just hoping y'all are socially distancing as you're getting
Oh, of course. Of course. We've been holding virtual Zoom smoke nights. So we're in our backyards, and having smoke nights. And I know I got pictures of that, because I literally have to take, note of this. When we hold a golf event, we go to some of the nicest courses, but do you see how many of us show up?
Wow.
We ain't playing around.
Wow.
And them black shirts all say "tap that ash."
I told you, as soon as the COVID is under control, we will have to come out there and visit y'all. You
Oh
can't play
yeah.
golf.
I mean,
I can't play golf. I have tennis elbow.
Hey.
Chronic tennis elbow. But one day.
This is what we do. This is what we do. And so, Kelly, with that being said, that's what really kind of keeps me here. That's what really kind of keeps me here, because I love the group of guys that I hang out with. I truly enjoy them, because that's one of our Zoom calls on a smoke.
So you have time for those Zoom calls, but you don't get on the Zoom calls for Spelman and Morehouse.
I don't. I need to do it. I mean, and I didn't know. And now that I know, I got to jump on those calls, because you know what you do. You have to help your old Morehouse brother. You have to call him up and say, "Hey, Dan, don't forget we got to get on the Zoom call," because they want to see the two of us. They got to see the two of us. We are the poster children of Morehouse and Spelman. We are. Yeah. We are. I'll say that we should be a part of their recruiting campaign. Period.
I think you're right.
You want to ask me what my dream job is? What I would do for nothing, but they're gonna have to pay me. I want to work for Morehouse. I want to be a part of admissions. I want to be a part of the dean's program. I want to be a part of just helping what helped mold me. Mm-hmm. What I had to run away from and had to come back to it and realize that. I want to be that's something that is, the only thing about it is, my wife and I were talking about living in Atlanta, and I was just like, I don't know if I'm ready to deal with 285.
I don't know about Atlanta.
I'd rather be on 295. I'd rather be in the Beltway.
Listen, you're right. If Spelman made me president, I'd come back to Atlanta. But short of that,
I don't even want to be your vice president. I just want to be your secretary, your assistant. I want to be the dude sitting out in front of your door. I'm sorry, Ms. Darnell is not able to see you right now.
What's exciting about Kamala though is I'll just share that. So my son I just took him to North Carolina Central last week, and all of his friends.
School.
He's at school.
Congratulations, man.
Lord,
my boy Doug Jones in Maryland, he's about to flip out. You're like, yes.
Yes. He's at school. And so all of his boys, when they were looking at schools in the fall, a lot of them were like, oh yeah, let's look at University of Kentucky. Let's look at, so they were looking at all these schools, right? And Noah told me a couple of years ago, I'm not interested in going to an HBCU. I'm not interested. I don't want to go. So we went, because, of course, I'm like, what? So we went through.
And his older brother went there.
And his older brother. And his dad, my ex-husband went to Morehouse.
Right.
And so, but when the time got closer, it was interesting. The Black males, right, were deciding where to go, and just a lot of stuff with Trump happening, they all decided to go to HBCUs. He does not have a single, and he went to Wilson High School, okay? So there are a lot of Black males.
Oh yeah.
You could literally count on your hand the number of Black males that went to predominantly white institutions. And I think with Kamala being chosen as vice president, people are going to be like, what's Howard? What's an HBCU? And just kind of bring, I don't want to say bring the pride back to HBCUs because it's been there. But now, you know, just.
It'll shine the light.
It will shine the light. Because people are already like, why did she go to Howard? What is how, you know, just will shine the light back on HBCUs.
You know.
But your heart is it was with Morehouse.
Hey man, I can't deny it, man. I cannot deny it. I bleed the burgundy and cream.
Thank you.
And love the blue and white. You know what I need from you? I need from you, and I'm gonna do the same thing for you. I'm going to get you a Morehouse hat, and I need a Spelman hat.
I'll get you a Spelman hat. Look what I got. I got a Spelman.
Wait.
My mask. I don't know, you know.
High tech, man. Pride. High tech. This is high tech. This is some high tech stuff, man. Come on now. Neoprene wraps around the neck. It don't go around the ear. I got a washable filter that goes in. Hey man, do you know how many places I've gone? There's probably the same thing happened to you. Oh my God, I love your mask.
Right.
What is that?
But when I got married, let me see, the homecoming, so it must have been homecoming 2018. I was engaged and I got my husband a Spelman husband shirt. So we get home and I was like, look, you know, we were getting married that next year. I was like, look what I got you. And he's like, I'm never wearing that. So fast forward, we get married and we're about to cut the cake. And he's like, before we cut the cake, I have an announcement. And he takes off his tux jacket and he gets his t-shirt out and he puts it on and he said, I'm not just Kelly's husband, I'm a Spelman husband. And he like drops the mic. We have this picture. It's like, it looks crazy. It's like Spelman husband, you know, on top of his tux shirt.
Yes.
Because he is, you know, he came out of the Air Force, went to Maryland. And so this whole idea of just the HBCU thing and the Spelman and Morehouse, he's like, oh my God, I had no idea that this is like, this takes over your life. I have to be a part of this. That's it, man.
I asked him, how many people do you still kick it with from College Park?
Oh yeah, nobody.
Yeah. How many people? And so the great thing about these calls and stuff like that has been, so Tiffany Pettiford and Marcus Nash and my man Tony Laurent, you know, just the cavalcade of people, our boy Mike May. He was like, dude, I got to get on the show. Like, you can't have on the show. I got to get on the show. I was just like, but because because that's a bond. This is something that we have transitioned through, and there's a love for that because I know what you felt. You know what I felt. You know, it's different from anything else. And there, I'm sorry to say it. No, I'm not sorry to say it. I'm proud to say it. There's a pride that I had.
Yeah.
Because somebody asked me, where'd you go to school? I said, oh, Morehouse. Like, what did you expect anything different?
Right.
And yes, I am a Morehouse man, and you can't tell me much at all.
I have so much Spelman gear around here. You would think that I graduated like last week.
Hey.
Look. This is what I keep my
Oh,
there you go.
Stop playing with me. I love it. Get out of here. Yes. And yes, there have been some Caucasian people that have attended Morehouse.
You had a valedictorian. Did you forget?
One of the dudes came from Chicago. He went to my high school, played football.
Really?
Yep. He was there sophomore year and could play.
No.
And we was in the stand. We was stands when he come on the field. We were like, "Ooh, white boy, go white boy, ooh, white boy, white boy." We loved him, man. It was and you know what? He fit right in. He had scholarships to a rack of schools he could have gone to.
Hysterical.
He was
But you know what? Black people embrace everyone. You know, it's funny because Eric Antonio runs the Combs. And I swear, I know Eric is Filipino, but like somewhere in the back of my mind, I know he's Filipino, but I forget.
Yeah.
And I do not remember ever for a moment when we were in school, it was like, oh, Eric. It was never like, Eric. Eric's not black. It was like, oh, he's from Detroit.
From the D. Man, I ain't seen that brother since when?
He's a huge golfer though.
No, well, we got to get on the course because I love playing the game, man. And there's nothing like. So we hold a tournament every year. Tap That Ash does on Martin Luther King weekend.
You came up with that name, didn't you?
And airs, I did, and the logo. My boy, my fellas had to agree, but I was kind of pushing it. Like, yeah, come on, this is it. So we hold a tournament here in Arizona for Father's Day and for Martin Luther King weekend. The reason why it's important that we hold it Martin Luther King weekend because Arizona was the last state to ratify the holiday. So, we pick the courses that they don't regularly see us at. And we show up 60 deep. And all of us can play. Like we ain't no scrubs in it. We can play this game and we have a good time. And there's a prayer that we do before we play, and we gather like at the most visible place possible in like the parking lot or at the range or anything like that. We get in a circle, and I make them do the Morehouse arm over arm. We link in arms. We gonna do that. We gonna link up. I make them link up, and I hold the prayer. And I have said some things, in particular times when like the year that when that dude with the orange hair in the White House got elected, we were at I think we were at McCormick Ranch, and I let them know. I said, and we will not hold our tongues back because the person who's in the office doesn't have any respect for us. I was letting them have it. Break up the prayer, and it always happens. Well, who are you guys? Are you all some football team or something like that? And most of them just walk away, and I walk right over, and I said, no, we own the team. Holler at your boy. And we keep moving.
Yeah.
That we represent. And so that's probably another thing that I love about here. But more than anything else, man, I get it, man. Man, Kels, I miss you, man.
I know. I regret all the time that we haven't spent together, but you know what? That's okay. I'm okay with that.
We in the back nine.
Right. We got time.
We in the back nine. We played the front nine.
And we got good now, right? So now we're good.
Made the mistakes. Now we're talking about nothing but pars, birdies, and eagles.
Yep. That's exactly.
Ain't no bogeys on the back nine. Ain't no double bogeys. Ain't none of that.
That's exactly right.
We know how to get out the rough. We know we didn't have the best drive. We know how to recover.
Yep.
Pars, birdies, and eagles.
And at a time where you just appreciate so much more, right? You go through life a little bit and you start appreciating stuff, and you don't take things for granted, and you appreciate people, and you're grateful for them, and that's the beauty of us really being able to reconnect now. So thank you, Dan.
Love you, Kelly. All my heart, man.
I wish you always the very, very best and the best to your wife, because everybody has one, and she was the one for you.
Definitely same to you, man. Same to you.
So
You got a Spelman husband.
yeah,
I love it.
took me a long time to find them.
Hey man, sometimes we like you said, we go through our ups and downs and challenges. We on the back nine now.
Yeah.
Pars, birdies, eagles, and hole in one. That's it.
And you know what the beauty is? Being in a pandemic with someone you actually love and enjoy being with.
Girl, say it with your chest out. Because I'm trying to tell you, it's real out here in the field.
It's
It's real out here in the field. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you all have been entertained or just have learned something about the bond that I have with this young lady and the love and appreciation that I have. I could not have been more blessed in my life that day back in '87 and meeting this young lady at King Chapel. And so forevermore, anytime that I hear that song by Mr. Rodney Franklin's Song for You, my heart goes out to you, girl. Anytime you need me, I got you. I got you for life, man. Love you to life. Love you to life.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you.
You already know, you too near me not to hear me, man. Y'all enjoy, man. We love you. See you next time.